In this industry, there is a graveyard of dead MMOs, long gone, forgotten games, where studios have spent millions upon millions of dollars only to be left in the dust. I'm looking at you, Wildstar. Today we're talking about a game that launched with massive hype, insane player numbers, and the full weight of one of, if not the largest company ever behind it. And yet here we are, a game that reportedly cost around $200 million, maybe more depending on who you ask. I fully believe that it was almost double that cost, is now officially on a shutdown path. There's no relaunch, there's no redemption arc, there's no Realm Reborn moment, there's nothing. Just a slow bleed followed by the servers going dark. And for MMO players, I think this one hurts more than most. New World wasn't just another MMO. This was Amazon stepping into the genre saying, we have the money, we have the tech, the servers, and the long-term vision to do this right. They weren't some indie studio. This wasn't Chronicles of Illyria level crowdfunding hype. There was actually, there was merit. There was talent, and there was the tech behind it that would have made this successful. They're Amazon, for Christ's sake. They own AWS. They owned Lumberyard. They had infinite runway compared to most MMO developers. And when New World launched in 2021, the numbers were insane. Nearly 1 million concurrent players on Steam. For MMO fans, for me, watching just a plethora of games come out and fail time and time again, I was excited at the prospect of a Western studio that isn't fucking Blizzard making an MMO, jumping into the space, and actually being successful. We watched this genre slowly decay into monetization hell, theme park burnout, and maintenance mode games where I think New World felt different. It felt new, it felt refreshing. You had action combat, territory control, literal guild wars, a grounded fantasy setting, and a living world driven by player profit. The game wasn't perfect by any stretch, but it had promise, and that's why I think this story stings more than most. Amazon has never officially published New World's budget, but industry reporting, former employees, and analysts all land in roughly the same range. $200 million at minimum, potentially far more when you factor in nearly a decade of development, engine creation and rewrites, multiple design pivots, massive server infrastructure, the live service operations that happened post-launch, and then the marketing and the platform partnerships. This was, in my opinion, Amazon's big step into the gaming industry as a whole, and this was their first big pillar game. That money went into development and went into, the systems that were constantly being reworked, abandoned, or fundamentally misunderstood. The original version of New World was a full PvP survival MMO that got ripped out late in development, then became a PvE-friendly MMO. Then it tried to do some amalgamation and tried to serve both audiences. And instead of committing to a clear identity, I felt like New World just became a game that constantly apologized for what it was and never really lived up to its full potential of what it needed to be. I think we got to be very clear. New World didn't die because MMOs are dead. On the contrary, I think there's so many people out there clamoring for a solid Western-designed MMORPG that harkens back to the days of old Blizzard when we first got World of Warcraft. There hasn't really been a lot of games since then. Obviously, you have the big three, the ESO, the Final Fantasy. You have games like old school RuneScape. But I know there's a lot of people out there that want the next World of Warcraft. And a lot of people jumped onto New World as that potential game being backed by a studio that has the resources to deliver that kind of game for modern audiences. What I think plagued New World from day one was their identity crisis. PvP players felt alienated going into the game. The PvE players, in my opinion, were never fully supported. They had things like the bounty board, and you were constantly doing the same quests over and over and over, killing the same enemies over and over and over. It was repetitive to a fault. And B, there was a lot of tech debt plaguing the game. You had duping exploits, you had economy resets, you had server merging that shattered communities. Every time I thought the game was trying to stabilize itself, something just fundamentally broke again. And C, which in my opinion is the death knell to any MMO, is the shallow end game. Once the leveling honeymoon phase ended, players realized the end game loop was thin, even more repetitive than the leveling process, and unrewarding. Territory wars became gatekept by the same dominant guilds. Crafting really just kind of lost its meaning about halfway through the game, and progression just kind of stalled. And then in my opinion, after those three, I would say the fourth point, or D, would be the slow reactive development. Amazon, they constantly reacted to outrage. Fixes would come way too late, reworks that took way too long, and by the time systems improved, the player base already left. I think the part that most people need to understand here is Amazon had the money and the resources to fix it, but they just didn't have the conviction to. MMO players are some of the most loyal players in the industry. We stick through rough launches, we forgive broken expansions, we wait years for redemption arcs. Final Fantasy proved that, Elder Scrolls Online proved that. They've all had rough patches. Hell, even Guild Wars had rough patches, and players still stuck by that game as well. What MMO players ask for isn't perfection. We ask for commitment, and New World never had that commitment. Instead of doubling down on it and saying, like, we believe in this world, we're gonna make things right, we're gonna fix it, you could already see Amazon pulling resources away from New World. It was like you could see in real time the corporate mindset infest that development. You could see it. You had fewer updates, smaller ambitions, more silence, until eventually, I think most people got the message. Amazon doesn't give a shit about you. They don't give a shit about me. They give a shit about money. On October 28th, 2025, the writing was on the wall, and we all knew it was coming. We got an update to New World. As New World recognizes its 4th anniversary since launching on PC, we reflect on an incredible journey shaped by our dedicated player community. The recently launched Season 10 and Night Haven update will serve as the final content release for New World on PC and consoles. It is only after much consideration that we've reached this decision. And in this post on October 28th, they said, in the coming months, we will provide more details on what to expect and other essential information. And a post on January 15th of this year, confusingly titled, "The Future of New World, What to Expect?" Nothing. There is no future of New World. New World is completely shutting down on January 31st, 2027. As of January 15th, the title will be delisted and no longer available for purchase. Players can still play New World Eternum on their platform until January 31st, 2027. So you have just over a year to enjoy what little remnants of a solid MMO launch is still there in New World. But just so everybody is aware, until July 20th of this year, you can still purchase in-game currency. Did you think they would turn that tap off? No, no, no. Will you get refunded for any of the in-game currency that you purchased up until now? No. So you can no longer purchase the game. You can install it if you own it. As an avid MMO fan and somebody who has watched this genre pretty much die out because of incompetence from developers time and time again, everybody looked at Amazon as, I don't want to say the savior, but they looked at Amazon as the differential. The company that could come in and actually do something worthwhile in this space because they had the resources, they had the manpower, they had the money, they had the tech. They had a slam dunk. But like I said earlier in this video, what they lacked was the commitment to actually do things right, put things on the right path, and make meaningful changes. This is as typical Silicon Valley as you can get. Drop something with so much promise and potential, get people on board, and then once things go wrong, instead of trying to pivot and make things better for the consumer, you tuck tail and you leave. And while all of this is also going on, not only are the players affected here, Amazon also announced layoffs of approximately 14,000 jobs, heavily impacting its gaming division and closing studios responsible for New World and the Lord of the Rings MMO. Amazon is also halting most first-party AAA game development and shifting focus to casual games and AI-driven experiences to align with its what they call technological strengths. Go fuck yourself. For some odd reason, I was excited at the prospect of a Lord of the Rings MMO. I love Lord of the Rings. I should have just expected that it was going to be trash. Now we'll never know. But to lay off 14,000 people and shift and pivot towards AI-driven technological experiences, I know it's going to be tough to avoid Amazon services in the future, but this is one of the worst fucking moves that I have seen in the gaming space in all of my years on this platform. And now to kill yet another game after spending hundreds of millions of dollars while also keeping the microtransactions enabled for the next 6 months is fucking scummy. And for me, I hope all of the Amazon games that do come out in the future fail miserably. I know it will never happen, but in my opinion, there is no room in this industry for people like Amazon to come in and do what they did. We shouldn't accept it. But again, I also know that we're such a small corner of the internet. The masses, the casuals, the people that don't watch these kind of videos are just going to consume the games. They're going to buy them. They're going to do it all anyway. Hell, I can point out the contradictory nature of me streaming on Twitch, a website owned by Amazon. It's one of those things where you'll never ever avoid their reach. But I truly hope this pivot to AI-driven development fails spectacularly for them. I really do. If you're a fan of New World, go fuck yourself. If you were a fan and you wanted to see them make meaningful changes and maybe you'll come back and revisit it in the future, go fuck yourself. If you bought any one of their expansions, go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself is pretty much the main point that Amazon is trying to make. Literally, as I'm recording this video, this article comes out. Rust lead offers $25 million to save New World from going offline. The chief operations officer at Face Punch Studios, the team behind Rust, has offered $25 million to save New World. Alistair McFarlane, $25 million, final offer, Amazon Games. Now, I have to add, I don't think this is going to happen. This is going to be one of those things where Amazon Games is going to feel like that New World IP is still valuable enough to hold on to it forever, even though they're not going to do a goddamn thing with it. These huge corporations aren't good for gaming. They don't care about you. They don't care about anything else but the bottom line. And unfortunately, there is no room for a game like New World to grow and get better with Amazon just choke holding the fuck out of it until it's blue in the face. There was a lot of aspects of the game that I actually enjoyed. I thought the crafting and the professions were some of the best that I've seen in an MMO. I really liked the action combat. I also really enjoyed the world. What turned me personally off the game was just the repetitive nature of doing tasks over and over, going to the board, collecting all, just doing the same quests. You go and you collect 7 chests at a farmhouse and you kill skeletons. Then you go to another farmhouse and you collect several chests and you kill skeletons. All of the enemy types were the same, even switching between zones as you leveled up. All of it felt the exact same. They had all of these really cool systems and then didn't have a game behind it that was actually worth fucking playing. And not only that, they spent $200+ million to do it. Good shit. Leave a like on the video and subscribe for more. And make sure you guys check out my Patreon, patreon.com/BigFry. And if you want to support the channel, go over to gamersubs.gg, grab yourself a shaker, grab yourself a tub of your favorite flavor. There's a ton of awesome flavors available on the site, and you can get 10% off your order if you use code BigFry at checkout. As always, my name is BigFry, and go fuck yourself, Amazon.